He must have cut down on the amount of eggs he was eating per day, and now he can't knock anyone out. I think a gust of wind could have blew Eubank over in that last fight, and it took Ben 12 rounds to pull him down. Alright, welcome back to another video over here in SCS Combat, and I just wrapped up my live stream for UFC 327. If you don't know this already, we're here every weekend live for the UFC and any big boxing fight that's on, along with the prediction videos and all the edits and stuff like that. Subscribe if you want more of that. But this is a different thing and a new thing we're doing. This is Fight Night Recap, episode 2. Maybe figure out a better name for this along the way, but let's get into it. Obviously a huge weekend of fights. Jiri, Carlos Ulberg, the main event of UFC 327 for the vacant UFC light heavyweight title, ends in devastation for me as Jiri unfortunately loses in the first round via KO after Carlos Ulberg blew his knee out. We'll get into that. Tyson Fury returns against Arslanbek Makhmudov and gets a 12-round unanimous decision victory, and in my opinion looked as good as ever. And not only that, on the co-main event, Conor Benn, the Egg Destroyer, defeats Regis Prograis via unanimous decision. We'll get into that as well. Regis Prograis retires after that, but there's a few things that weren't quite right with that fight, so we're going to get into it. Suppose we'll start off there actually. Conor Benn and Regis Prograis co-main event, a huge fight card with a Ring magazine in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, obviously headlined by Tyson Fury and Arslanbek Makhmudov. Co-main event, Conor Benn, Regis Prograis. Now Conor Benn is the #1 ranked fighter, 147, even though he hasn't fought there in at least 4 years from my memory. Then he had to win at 160 against Eubank last time out and they lost him before that. Regis Prograis on the other hand, coming off a win, but 37 I think he was at the end of his career, very slowed down and very heavily injured, and we learned that going into this fight. There was obviously the huge shock of Conor Benn signing with Zuffa. Dana White, we all know the story, backstabs Eddie Hearn, goes with Dana White for one fight, 15 million to be fair apparently, and takes on Regis Prograis. And a couple of weeks out we see a lot of rumours that Prograis is heavily injured. Prograis does end up being heavily injured, and unfortunately it was a very brutal fight for Regis Prograis, let's be honest. He put up a good fight and landed some good shots at points, but Conor Benn was way quicker, had way better footwork, way more explosiveness in his shots, and unfortunately, shout out to him by the way, Regis Prograis, but unfortunately it didn't go his way. Conor Benn got a unanimous decision victory over him, like I think he should have. It was a pretty clear win for Conor Benn. Now let's get into the weeds of the conversation, or whatever you would say. Firstly, Regis Prograis was heavily injured there. I'd just like to say that before I move on to what's next. And you could tell his movement was so bad, his hip rotation was terrible. He's older now and his style has always been upper body, but that was horrific unfortunately, and that was clear that he was injured in there and he wasn't the same fighter he used to be. So Conor Benn goes another fight without stopping someone. Look, let's be honest, Conor Benn ever since he come back after controversy with the steroids and failed test has not knocked anyone out. He was knocking all these former world champions spark cold before this test come back positive. Now it comes back positive. He must have cut down on the amount of eggs he was eating per day, and now he can't knock anyone out. I think a gust of wind could have blew Eubank over in that last fight, and it took Ben 12 rounds to pull him down. So weak, so drained, so dehydrated, and he returns now at 147 or 150 catchweight, because you know, as long as there's money hanging about, the WBC will keep him at #1 at 147 anyways, and the IBF will keep him very highly ranked. Conor Benn once again fails to knock out another fighter that is not at the right weight class, very much injured, very much past his prime. Obviously Prograis has never been stopped, but Ben hurt him once in that fight, let's be honest, stumbled him once and that was it. First round stumbled him, Prograis never wobbled again. Interesting where that powers went, to say the least. You know, I don't know if took an egg or two out of the scrambled eggs or the omelette, or I don't know, maybe he has one fried egg in the morning now instead of two, but it's quite interesting, let's be honest. He makes a load of money and it's supposed to be Ryan Garcia next for Conor Benn. We need to see that fight, I suppose. Why not? It's a really big fight. Ben does not deserve a world title opportunity at all, but he's going to get it, and I think Ryan Garcia knocks him spark out with a left hook, so we're going to find out. No disrespect to Conor Benn because he looked good boxing skill wise, but when you pop for roids and come back and the way he's come back, be able to actually put anyone out again, and they're all very dodgy, and I know what I believe. So to see all this and to see him get it granted a world title shot, handed a world title shot, it's a joke, let's be honest, but that's boxing at times, and he gets the 147 world title shot next against Ryan Garcia. Doesn't want to smoke with Lewis Crocker though, which is interesting. But yeah, moving on to the main event, Tyson Fury defeats Arslanbek Makhmudov over a 12-round unanimous decision. Beats him pretty easily. I give Makhmudov 2 rounds. I think the judges actually only give Makhmudov 1 round at most, so Fury gets a very wide unanimous decision victory there over 12 rounds, and it was a great fight. Makhmudov brought everything you would have expected him to, and he's just running in with his head down, ready to go, throwing combinations, huge punches from Makhmudov to be fair, and it worked in the first round against Fury, but obviously he's been out for over a year and a half I think, so it would have took him a while to get back into it, but he does, and from then on put on a brilliant boxing display, and in my opinion looked like he always has looked. Obviously he's been better in his prime, but over the recent times, his last couple of fights, same Tyson Fury, and that interview John Fury done where he was like, my son has no legs left and he shouldn't have fought, and I'll fight Carl Froch twice on a Sunday, and I'll do it tomorrow for free, but I won't do it for $1 million in 2 weeks time. All that there in that interview, it all turned out to be false when it comes performance to Tyson Fury, and he just went against everything John Fury said with his performance. So great performance by him, great coaching performance then by Sugar Hill, I take it. And yeah, what's next for Tyson Fury is what we seen after, the screaming or the shouting at Anthony Joshua, calling Anthony Joshua out and challenging him on the spot. However, we did not get a response from Anthony Joshua, who hit him with one of the coldest stars you'll see. Said Tyson is a cloud chaser and they'll see what happens next. Joshua said he's been in this situation before and he doesn't believe the fight happens until the contracts are signed and the first bell goes. So we'll see, but that one has to be next for both these fighters and it's perfect time to make it. Maybe Joshua needs that Wilder warm up in between, but he said this one could be a warm up now after what he's seen tonight. So look, we'll see. And Joshua spoke and saying that there's still a lot of personal things he needs to sort out, and I really do think that any time he needs, he is to be given, because obviously what he went through was very tragic, very unfortunate. Rest in peace, obviously, to his two good friends that he lost back in December. I think he still has a couple of things to sort out with that, so we'll get that fight in due time. But I feel like it would be cruel to sit and keep asking Anthony Joshua for these other stuff to sort out first. So hopefully we see them back soon, but if we don't, Joshua takes another one in between or something, we'll see. But that has to be made next, that fight. And also really good tribute from Tyson Fury for Ricky Hatton, who obviously we unfortunately lost as well not too long ago. Rest in peace, Ricky Hatton. Always remembered, and there was a nice chant there at the end from Tyson, and he sort of paid tribute to him with the ring gear as well. Tyson Fury really brings a lot of energy as needed to the heavyweight division. It's good to have him back, and hopefully we see him back more in bigger fights. Moving on now to the UFC card, Jiri Prochazka and Carlos Ulberg for the light heavyweight title. Main event at UFC 327, but we were live for the whole main card, and the whole card in general was really solid. Vicente Luque getting a good win there over Calvin Gastelum, and Kevin Holland defeating Randy Brown, stuff like that there. Good card. But to start the main card, Cub Swanson, how about this for a retirement victory? Goes out there and knocks Nate Landwehr down 3 times and puts him out in the first round. What a way to end the career. Cub Swanson, he was the only active, I think it said, WEC and UFC fighter, and with that win tonight, he passes Max Holloway for the most wins a WEC or UFC featherweight fighter has got, I think it said. So shout out to him, and what a way to go out from the sport. Cub Swanson, always a legend. Great knockout victory there. Alright, moving on. The fight we all expected a knockout from was very boring. Dominic Reyes defeats Johnny Walker with a split decision over 3 rounds, 29-28 there. On all scorecards, Reyes gets 2 of them and wins. Very boring, very lackluster, very technical fight. Reyes gets it done, but the next fight was nowhere near it. It was the complete opposite of what we just witnessed. Curtis Blaydes gets defeated in a huge upset by Josh Hokett, who we have obviously seen with crazy antics throughout the week, and his fight match because he threw an absolute, I mean, you want to talk about numbers. Curtis Blaydes lands 214 punches out of 345, and Josh Hokett lands 181 out of 298. These two heavyweights went to war and put on one of the greatest fights you'll ever see. Curtis Blaydes comes up short. It was a great performance from both fighters, and I think Josh Hokett just stole it in the end, third round, the last 10 seconds. So fair play to him, and he actually has been added to the White House card now as he takes on Derek Lewis on that card. So 7 fights on there now, and we'll talk about that in here as well once I finish this card, because there was a few announcements with that made. Azamat Murzakanov took on Paulo Costa next. Murzakanov, the number 6 ranked light heavyweight contender, taking on Paulo Costa, who is obviously moving up to that weight. And what a performance. Vintage Paulo Costa. Head kick KOs Azamat Murzakanov to take his undefeated record in the 3rd round. What a performance from Paulo Costa. Had some great work early, great work throughout the fight. I had it 1 each going into the 3rd round. It was a great fight, and I'm here now that Murzakanov hurt his arm and scratches out, so hopefully he recovers well and soon. But Paulo Costa hits him with a huge head kick at the start of round 3, follows it up again and again and then again, and puts him, or the 4th one that landed, I think it was the 4th or the 3rd, which put him out. Murzakanov wobbled and then just sort of turned around and went down, and that was it there after he stepped in. It was a great stoppage. What a win for Paulo Costa, and he still seemed quite indecisive of where he wanted to go next, whether he wanted to be back down at middleweight or light heavyweight. He never really didn't say he had a problem with either, so he just said he wants to fight the best of the best, and if he keeps fighting like that, I think there'll be no problem with that happening. That was not the only light heavyweight fight tonight, as in the main event it ended in devastation. Carlos Ulberg defeats Jiri Prochazka in the 1st round via KO. Unfortunately, Jiri went out cold. Was fighting brilliantly with leg kicks, Jiri was, and Carlos went over at one point, blew out his knee, hurt his leg, and he was on his last leg, quite literally. Jiri goes forward and Carlos throws the biggest Hail Mary punches, they would say, and unfortunately it hits Jiri clean on the chin and puts him down and puts him out with a few ground and pound shots. Devastation for the Samurai, I'll be honest. Devastation for Jiri Prochazka, and devastation for me. You know, seeing my attitude throughout the week, I'm a huge fan of him, and sometimes you're emotionally invested a bit, and this one just felt like it was right for him to win, and unfortunately he just didn't, and that's what happened. And he was very honest in his post-fight speech, where he said he seen Carlos injured in there and he sort of felt a bit of mercy and shouldn't have done what he was supposed to do, and that's true. He probably should have kept kicks going, and eventually Ulberg wouldn't have been able to walk, and that would have been him winning it. But Ulberg lands that shot and gets him out of there and becomes the champion. He's calling himself King Carlos at the end, but unfortunately this light heavyweight belt is fried, and I'm pretty sure Glover beat Jan, right? That was it. Glover beat Jan. Someone actually wins the belt, right? Off a champion. Then Glover fights Jiri. Jiri beats Glover in that fight. Jiri injures his shoulder, drops the belt. Glover fights Jamal Hill, who then wins that for the belt, drops it off an injury again. Then Alex Pereira picks up the light heavyweight title, defends it a couple of times, and now he's vacated it. And Carlos Ulberg's picked it up again and blew out his knee in the same fight. Like, what is up with this title? Crazy. Injury riddled title. He's called himself King Carlos. Unfortunately, he might be out for a while. Hopefully, though, that is not bad extent of a leg injury and huge knockout power in those hands. I'd love to see him, this is what I was saying, talk a bit more now, put out a bit more confidence and grow his personality in the sport. I think that'd be great for him because his fights and his power do the talking for him, but if he could add the actual talking to that, it would be very good and help him out a lot, probably, when it comes to deals and people wanting to watch his fight and views. So I think that'd be a great move for Carlos Ulberg. I was heartbroken in the end because when they interviewed Jiri, you know, you could tell he was holding back those tears, and that's just heartbreaking. Wanted him to win so bad and he just got caught, and it happens, but it's sad. It's really sad. And like he says, heavyweight title, let's go for that again, because look, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to challenge that title again at least one more time before his career ends, and I think he's going to be unbeaten again apart from the champion. So we'll see. But I think Jiri Prochazka is going to return, come back, get a few good wins and fight for the title again. Maybe it'll be vacant again, maybe there'll be an interim title until Ulberg's healed, but we will see. Sad to see Jiri go out like that, but he will be back, do not doubt it. We also got a few announcements. The White House card, yeah, Derek Lewis versus Josh Hookett has been added to that. Probably not the 7th fight we were expecting to be announced, but that's the way it goes. Derek Lewis, no, he definitely didn't look good at all last time out. He kind of crumbled under a jab. Josh Hookett just put on one of the greatest fights ever. Obviously, Derek Lewis has the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history, so, or UFC history overall, maybe. So sure, that'll be a great fight, and Hookett did walk onto a lot of punches there, so we'll see what Derek Lewis can do about that. And we also kind of got the layout announced, which we already kind of knew from the first sort of AI layout, which the UFC used AI again for their trailer. The White House card, which they dropped tonight, but Ulberg tore his ACL. So good. That is so good. Wow. Alright, that is episode 2 of the Fight Night recap. Finished. This is gonna take me a bit of time to edit, so if you could, it'd be much appreciated if you like, subscribe, follow along for more. All my tags are on the screen: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, a lot of types of content. We're just trying to build over here. We're trying to build something good, so make sure to follow along because I'm gonna keep going. So great boxing performance from Conor Benn, but unfortunately for him, the power is not showing through fully. He likely takes on Ryan Garcia next for the WBC welterweight world title at 147. Tyson Fury returns with a styleful victory over Arslan Bekmambetov. He gets that one done over 12 rounds. Great boxing performance from him. Looked as good as he has over the past couple of years. And yeah, see that AJ fight next. Then moving on to the UFC. Shout out Cub Swanson for the retirement, and what a win in the end. Shout out Reach Progress, he retired as well, by the way. Great career for him. 2-time world champion, involved in some great fights. Then greatest fight of all time maybe for Josh Hookett and Curtis Blade. Then you have home-main event. What a head kick from Paulo Costa, and devastation in the end as Ulberg knocks out Jiri Prochazka in the first round, but tears his ACL, so we don't know what'll happen next with him. Oh yeah, lastly, one thing that I actually thought was funny the whole night was looking into the crowd and seeing Chris Eubank Jr. and Eddie Hearn pretty much sitting one seat apart, if not right beside each other at points, and I thought that was funny. Obviously, we know their rivalry there, and they had Anthony Joshua separating them for most of the night. I just thought that was quite funny, but that is it. Like, subscribe, follow for more. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Alright, let's go for that. Jiri will be back.